Hello and welcome everybody to episode 10 of the Bootleggers podcast. We call it the BuzzCast. You're here with your regular contributors, myself, Flames, and I'm also here joined by Riot. Hello, Mr. Riot.
Hey, how's it going? Nice to be back doing this again after just a few weeks off.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? I mean, we actually did. It wasn't really a BuzzCast, was it? We did the open thing a few weeks ago, and that was pretty fun. Yeah. And we've also joined, as usual, by Mr. Roll. Hello, Mr. Roll.
Hey, good afternoon. How are you doing?
Yes, I'm super. Thank you so much. I've had a good start to the weekend.
There's now moderator role.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Full blown.
Not a trainee anymore. Congratulations.
That went fast. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, it did go fast, didn't it? It
took us like a year.
Yeah.
I think 5 months now.
5 months? Is that how long it's been? 5 months?
4 or 5 months, yeah, something like that.
Oh well, congratulations.
Thanks again.
So yeah, just to as a bit of an introduction to the people listening to us today. If you're listening to this on YouTube, it was filmed on Saturday afternoon UK time, which is morning BL time. As always, we now allow people to listen to the podcast being filmed live. Looks like we've got about 25 listeners live, so hello everybody there. They'll be sitting on mute for the majority of the time, but they might have some contributions to make throughout the show. We estimate that the show today will be running a little bit longer than the usual ones. So usually we aim for an hour, looking at some of the things that we've got to talk about today, and also the fact that we haven't had one in a few weeks. Potentially the runtime could be up to about an hour and a half. So we'll have a look to that. It's not scripted in any way, this show. We literally just make a bullet point for ourselves in terms of the topics that we want to cover. So we'll run through a few of those, and we were literally just about to touch on the first one, which is that we had some announcements of staff changes, or really. So the first one of those is it was what we just mentioned, which is Roll got away from the trainee moderator position and went to a moderator position. To answer everybody's question that's probably on their lips, there is no difference. It's more about just recognition into the role. I guess you would probably call it like as a bit of a probationary period. So it's meant to just be that trainees can make mistakes and they might still need a bit of help. But Roll has probably got
he's
to the position.
He's also allowed to address Kyle by the first name now, so that's pretty good.
And he doesn't have to kneel. Does he still have to kneel?
Yes, but distance. So
Yeah.
Kyle will know if you're not doing it. We don't know how. We don't.
And you get your diamond encrusted sword ceremony.
What you are.
So I guess we've obviously got a bullet point for ourselves to at least touch on this. Maybe just have a chat about the first 5 months in the role. Roll. Oh, that wasn't intended. So how's the first 5 months gone? Have you got a summary for us?
It was difficult in the beginning, and then it went easier and easier, and now it's actually fun to do. Kind of need to grow into it, but I think after 4 or 5 months, it's really becoming fun to do. People are super friendly as always, now with the promotion, what can I say? I'm so grateful to you guys for teaching me all this stuff, and now I can say Kyle instead of Mr. Croft, so that's good too.
Yeah.
How does being a moderator compare, like what it actually is versus what you thought it would be like when you were a player?
That's a good question, and I still don't know the answer. At some point felt like I was losing touch with playing, actually, and then I started clicking around again, doing some crimes to get in touch with the game itself again. So
that's a good point.
The biggest thing you kind of lose the feeling with playing the game.
Yeah, I think it's a good point, because the other day I was thinking to myself, I've never been able to experience playing with things like mana, or like there's actual whole features now that I've never even been able to actually go through and play. So it's strange, like as you see development happens, you get further and further away from it. Well, there is a case to say that to have a playing account, so you can at least just have a play with some features. That's a pretty good idea. So I guess at this point, if there's anybody that's sat here listening live that wants to jump in and ask Roll any questions about his first 5 months in the role, feel free to come off mute and ask Roll a question. It's unscripted, so you can ask anything.
As again, their
No
question
difficult
already,
ones, please.
I just want to say my favorite moment was kind of after Roll got promoted. We had to do a bunch of like those mass boost. We had like 200 accounts to boost. So we're just sitting going through all these, and like Roll messages. He's like, "So is this what being a mod is? Just doing boost all day?" And I was like, "Yeah." Not as glamorous as you thought, was it, pal? But
yeah. At that point, I had my laptop and an extra screen installed to keep a view on things. It was super crazy. Who was it who fucked up that time? That made it very difficult. Was it Doug? Yeah, it was Doug, if I remember.
Yeah, I think it was.
Those we don't speak of,
He who must not be named.
He made it pretty difficult.
Back to training.
Yeah.
Well, he did a good job. Thanks for the boost.
Yeah. So anybody listening, feel free to jump in a question. The current topic is Roll's first 5 months in his role and his recent removal of the trainee tag. So if anyone has a question for Roll, feel free to jump in. There's going to be an awkward 10-second pause whilst I wait for you to ask.
I guess my question is going to be, how many scums have you been directly attributed to the deaths for now?
I think over 100 by now. I have an Excel file where I keep everything.
I think there's another 3,000 in that file for you, so you've got plenty.
100 scum hunts. That's an achievement.
Accidentally, someone revived and got shot because of you.
Oops.
Any other questions? Otherwise, we are moving on. Wonderful. In which case, the next person that we need to talk about, which is far more exciting for the listeners probably, because in reality, Roll's change of tag doesn't really do anything. But one thing that does is that our own Cybae, or as we generally refer to him as Alex, who has pretty much single-handedly helped us do the BuzzCast. He's also been working as a moderator and actually been doing a lot of. He's actually been doing instead of actually doing things like tickets like we've typically been doing. He's been looking at the more strategic ways of actually proactively helping from a moderator point of view. That's obviously been recognised by Karl, and given his wicked skills with technology, Cybae is the newest developer in Bootleggers. Mr. Alex.
Hello.
Congratulations and thank you for helping us out with the development.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting, honestly. It's I think I've touched on this before in a couple places, but Bootleggers actually originally, back when I joined as quite young, got me interested in developing. So it's kind of cool to have something come full circle and go from learning a language because I thought this game was cool and wanted to make my own version, to now obviously deploying that as a life skill and being able to come back and do it for Bootleggers.
Yeah,
so you're just inciting your own game instead of you're inciting a game instead of starting your own.
Shit, I thought it'd take you guys a lot longer to figure that out.
Yeah, so I thought we would just have like a quick chat really about what this would mean from the community's perspective, I guess. Obviously, having another developer on board can only be positive from that point of view. So, I mean, just like maybe a summary of what you've done since taking on the developer thing. From my point of view, and you can obviously put your own spin on this, it looks like the first few weeks have been really just getting you working with Karl to get you up to speed to be able to make changes, as opposed to hitting the ground running and making changes. It's obviously like starting a new job when you first start looking at something. Is that about right?
Yeah, so there's been some very early changes that we made that is obviously better for the architecture of bootleggers in general. I wouldn't necessarily say that everything was Dark Ages, but one of the best things to kind of remember is bootleggers is a very old game, and many people have touched the code along the way, ranging all the way back to people like Noah back in the ages ago, and
Hmm.
even people like Sky. And so there's many different styles of programming that have been deployed. There's many different ages of programming that have been deployed, and it's all just kind of interwoven into what people play today. And one of the most basic changes that we made was actually getting the code over onto GitHub, which, if you're not a developer, maybe you're not too familiar with what that is, but it would allow people like me and Kyle to work together on the project and not necessarily interfere with each other because we can automatically merge things. It's a version control, so if we release something that ends up breaking, then we can actually roll that back with ease instead of having to go back in and edit the file and pull all that code back out. So, I mean, even that was just necessarily a very good step for bootleggers right off the bat. We've actually worked on quite a few architectural changes since then. That's also what broke all of the CSS and images that one day.
Oh yeah.
um, but yeah,
Okay.
we're generally making changes that are going to leave the game in a better state from a programmatical state.
Okay, so building blocks by the sounds of it, that's always a nice place to start. So I guess I saw a topic in the game forum which was like, oh, now we have another developer. Where are the changes? But just to answer that person, I can't remember with the username, and I imagine they're not alone in their thinking. Sometimes these building blocks are going to take a little while essentially it's like starting a new job, isn't it? I mean, if you were in your professional life, you're also a programmer, Alex. You don't walk into a new job and then immediately start coding features, do you? No matter what job you take.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of what Kyle and I have planned to work on, like right now, to the point that it's been something that we've been working on for a couple weeks, and it's going to be something that we probably work on for a couple more weeks, is generally just the platform itself, making it more stable, making it more scalable, making it just generally better in ways that people won't even notice at first, but it should lead into being able to have more developers at any point in time. It should lead into more stability for the game, and things should just end up running a little bit better with these changes as well.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Um, so I also wanted to touch on obviously the interactions that you and I have had together, because obviously we put in some plans just in terms of the near future, in terms of what Alex will be working on. One of the other things that we've decided to do is that we've used like a more professional tool to do some development planning on. Um, so really, it's like a ticketing system. So similar to how the bootleggers help desk would be, it's a similar concept whereby we log a ticket to say that either there's this bug that's happened, or there's this update that's needed, or this suggestions come in. And we've basically just planned all of those things out. So it started off with a bit of a brain dump of just pulling everything from the suggestions box, from stuff that I've had in BMs, from stuff that I've got on my emails from months ago or whatever, stuff that we see in the forums. It's basically just been putting the first step. Number one is to just get all of that into a place that's easy to handle. So it's this system called Jira. I'm sure that there's some techie people here, so they would have heard of that system before. Basically, it's just like a ticketing system where we can work out priorities and when we're going to do things. It allows us to make one fundamental difference, which is that we're able to communicate those upcoming changes more. We're able to give estimates on like timeframes about when things are going to be done. Behind the scenes, it allows us to set priorities so we can see everything in one screen. So we're able to say that clearly that although that might be really important for one person, this other bug over here affects 100 people, and therefore that's obviously going to take priority. So communications helped. We've only just really set that up. We've just dropped quite a few hundred tickets in there.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately. And so really the high level in terms of what we're thinking the setup's going to be is that obviously Kyle's got the strategic direction of the game, and obviously that requires some programming, so that's what he's going to focus on. And initially Alex, you're going to be working on some of those things that I just mentioned: bugs, suggestions, sort of like updates to existing features. Is that pretty fair to say?
Yeah, so I guess just wrapping up on what you were touching on, one of the best ways to kind of put it is we've officially moved into a more project management slash I I wouldn't necessarily call it Scrum, so we're going to call it Kanban. We've actually moved into a Kanban style of approaching tasks to do and having Flames as more so a project manager in that. So I would say it has become quite a good change that Bootleggers has never really seen before, and hopefully it should work to kind of work with people going towards getting tickets into the flow, actually have proper correspondence back about how features should be coming out, when they should be coming out, and unfortunately, a lot of these changes just kind of go unnoticed. So if we can increase the visibility on those, then people can stop thinking that the developers don't really do anything and can kind of get feedback on it. So yeah, there's a lot to do. There really is. There's lots of tickets. Some of them are ranging 86 weeks ago, I think, and yeah, hopefully I can start working on those soon.
Cool. Yeah, I'm sure everybody will love the output of what you're doing. It's very close now to be able to actually see some of the output from some of those things. You're
Well,
obviously still doing some
there
of
has
the
been a few
foundation
things
stuff.
that I have released,
Yeah,
but
I've seen that actually.
there's only like 5 things that I've released so far, and it's mostly things that people won't notice except for Vio. One of them was for a complaint that Vio lodged that actually annoyed me so much I changed it myself. But one of them, for instance, was the broken assignment that everyone was getting. I forgot what I think it was cater a sit down. Everyone was getting this broken assignment, so that's gone now. We're actually possibly talking about adding some more assignments too, so hopefully you'll see some replacements for it. But
Cool.
yeah.
Sounds good. Mr. Riot or Mr. Roll, do you have any questions or just anything that relating to this topic that you might want to run through with Alex?
No, I'm just really glad to have him on board. It's nice to understand like everything that's getting set up and how it's going to make new like developments and stuff and like fixes come a lot quicker. And I think it'll also let Kyle focus on some of the new game features that he wants while you put out all of the other fires that are going on and like the help desk and stuff like that. So super stoked to have you on board.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of my role is going to end up being the cleanup man, but it does allow Kyle to
Bucket
just
boy.
speed ahead with what he's doing, release new features that everyone's going to love, and I can just make sure the game's running smoothly and possibly try to do some things like, as I said, adding new assignments and other things like that that may be fun for people.
There is no feature that everybody will love. There could be a feature in the game where Kyle would send you a
battery
check
critical
for $1 million. And there would be people who are like, that's just too much to be sending me right now. I don't know how to manage it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. You can't please everybody, but you can't please everybody all the time, can you? But at least we're going to please the majority of the time. That should be our intention. With that in mind, actually, how do you please the majority of the time? I think that that's where we previously had the feedback group that members of that will know that I shut it down just because I guess I was sort of waiting for a time where it was going to be more effective, and that's another route that having Alex on board will also help, is that we can essentially have the feedback group directly related to the items that are in that in Alex's queue, basically. So it really just it's going to help us. So instead of me adding a ticket, Alex working on the ticket, me telling you the ticket's done, to make sure that there's quality there and it's run past players, that's what the feedback group is going to be for. So previously the feedback group failed because it was just talking about pie in the sky ideas, whereas now we can actually draw it back to a specific ticket that we've got. How do you think players will react about ticket number 23, for example?
Yeah, I agree, and that's kind of where we had the idea for the refinement group as well. So hopefully we can, discuss the refinement group at some point soon. But yeah, that should kind of work to benefit everyone, really.
I think so too. Cool. So just to wrap up, Alex being on board. Again, we're going to have that awkward little 10-second gap where anybody that's on the chat now, feel free to unmute your mic and propose a question to Alex. I'm sure if you can answer, he will.
Kind of shocked.
No questions. Someone's got to have a question out there. Himmel, you will have an opinion about everything. Have you got a question for us?
For Alex?
Yeah, do you have a question about Alex's role or Roll's role?
No, I already kind of raged at him like last week for no reason.
Oh, did
Seems
you?
like a good reason to me.
Yeah. No, just happy to have another developer on.
Yeah, us too. I'm just looking through who's typically got good questions. Boggy, you're here. Have you got any questions? Or general opinions that you think are relative to this section?
Well, we don't need to force any questions because I believe we still have another promotion to discuss.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we are completely skipping over someone, but I don't think we care about him, so it's fine.
No, this guy's an idiot. Yeah, so very quickly, just to wrap up this segment, I was also promoted to head moderator for anybody that's differences in the role. So far, there's been 2 new buttons, so that's extremely exciting. Essentially, I'm just doing the same thing. I guess it was just similar to roles, really. It's just a representation of the sort of things I was doing anyway, which is that I've got a couple of extra tasks that I want to push through, which is that so one is that so on top of all the stuff that's in help desk and on top of the stuff that I'm working with Alex for, there is a set of 3 tasks that, if I'm honest with you, if I had more spare time in my personal life, it would have been done probably at the start of this year, but it's just been a bit tricky, really. I've started a new job and stuff and moved house. All just before and just after lockdown, but so one of the 3 tasks is to completely pick apart the FAQs. The second one is to be able to move to a model whereby you might have seen the rackets page got a little eye information icon. So to be able to move to a model where the FAQs is like a good general introduction, but actually we move to a more proactive model where you can get help on every page that you're on. So we're currently working as a team to create information sections for every single page on the game. So that would be quite fun. And then I've got one thing that's more about staffy sort of stuff. So there's a couple of things that I've tasks that I've got going on, really. The couple of extra buttons won't make a difference to anybody else. So I guess that's it, really.
I guess the best question would be, how was it like to be temporarily red?
Oh yeah, so I believe that was by accident, as there was previous roles set up that were wrong. So yeah, I think for anybody that got a BM from me that the first day, I think everything that I was doing was in the shiny red color, which I much prefer the green, to be honest, anyway. So. Yeah, so that's probably it for what we've got as a very quick bullet point saying section 2, new roles. So we're going to move on to the next section. And for anybody who's in the BuzzCast team reading the bullet points, I'm going to go out of the order. The next section we're going to talk about is relating to some game news. The bullet point just says the Shawshank Redemption. So obviously this is completely unscripted, so we're going to try and do a bit of investigatory, newsworthy stuff that might have been going on recently. So the guests that we have to talk about this, I am told, is Kennedy, Himmel, and Siren. Kennedy and Himmel, we've heard from you guys before. I don't think we've heard from Siren on the BuzzCast before. So Siren, are you here?
We're trying to sort it.
Okay. Kennedy, are you here?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Kennedy, how are you?
I'm good. A little bit drunk, though. I'm sorry. I'm on vacation.
Oh, cool. Where are you?
I'm in Jordan now, not in U.S. anymore.
Oh, awesome. How is it over there?
Oh, it's good. It's good, very good. I'm drunk with my two of my friends right now.
This sounds like the perfect BuzzCast moment.
It will be. Trust me. Hopefully, Brendan is drunk too.
Yeah. There is
It's
a high
like
chance.
8 a.m. Yeah, I'm working on it.
Okay, so Kennedy, I guess we will try and not keep you too long. I guess the fact that you're a little bit worse for wear probably means that you're going to be without your inhibitions and maybe going to tell us it just like it is. So I've been told that there's a newsworthy item, the Shawshank Redemption. Why are you in the news? What's the story?
Well, to be honest, everybody hates Glenpa, and we're getting shot because of that. So we decided to go a little bit of a unique.
Okay.
I can tell that Glenpa is a fucking asshole. So
Goodness.
So we actually decided to go. Some of us to go UG, and Glenpa to stay on in the crew, so he can get his cars and not. How should I say it?
Okay.
And I'd say not just we kept Glenpa and Perdition in the crew just for us to get cars and start with our targets. And we actually had some targets that has nothing to do with TI and the HUD. But for some reason, just the HUD started shooting at some of our members. So we actually had to, how should I say it? Start with the HUT and the TI. Right now, we are in good terms with TI. I think Dave is a really good member to talk to about what happened between us and the TI. But yeah, that's about it.
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm a little bit drunk. You guys are gonna have to. I'm sorry, give me a second.
That's fine. Drunk is good. How about Himmel from the other side? What's some of the story here?
I wish I could tell you.
Okay.
That's why Siren was supposed to be here.
Okay.
I have no idea how it started.
That's fine.
Well, I know how it started, to be honest. It just started between, I think, Trouble and Siren had some kind of weird conversation in Discord. I think Trouble was joking, and for some reason Siren shot her without talking to Glimpa and myself. Like, I think Siren got my got my WhatsApp, got my Discord, and she didn't even talk to anybody, and she shot Trouble out of nowhere, and Ghostbusters shot Glimpa and AK-41 without even talking to any member of us. So we actually had to retaliate on the HUT. I didn't want to do it because we had a lot of friends. Like, for example, we had Big C, we had It's Meh, and I didn't want to do it, but we had to because we want to keep face. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
that was the reason of the shooting. Then out of nowhere, Brown Eyes shot us. I think Brandon was drunk like myself right now, and he said that if anybody helped TSR or that, we don't. To be honest, we don't need help. I'm telling you, we do not need help. I have 45K that will. It's gonna be a long war if there was no peace.
Okay.
And that is it. That is it.
Okay, so no big strategic story here. This is more about I shot you, you shoot me, and it's more of a personal thing, right?
Yeah, a bunch of Canadians getting in the way.
I think that's the case. But just to be honest, Dave, I don't really know how to pronounce his Kdaveoo name. He's a really cool guy, and peace was made with TI. But for some reason, Ghostbusters is kind of, I think, maniac that he's still shooting. So every time Ghostbusters shoot somebody, we wipe the HUT again.
Okay.
And at the same time, I think shooting the HUT right now is pointless. And but for some reason, they didn't reach out to us yet. But that's it.
Okay. Well, thank you so very much for sharing that bit of the story with us. You're very kind. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thanks. So, guys that are Riot and Roll, I guess we don't have the full story. I guess we've had some technical problems on the other side, so it meant that this story is probably not going to come to fruition like we hoped it would. So I guess as an interim, in case we can try and get Siren back on the call later, I guess we just have a quick review of the scoring periods and the crew leaderboards. Beyond Bars in first position. This is not unusual to see them near the top of the leaderboard.
No, they usually do pretty well.
Yeah, so I think period 10 was the last time. No, sorry, it was either period 9 or 10 was the last time that they won, if I remember rightly. So they are previous winners, and they seem to be pretty organised with the revenue stuff. I don't know if there's any big shocks in period 12, really. I mean, the top 3 crews are people that are quite used to being in the top 5 at the very least. So we're currently sitting with Beyond Bars, the Panose, and the Axe Tees. I guess one of the bigger shocks that TCF are. I mean, I saw potential retirement topic, right?
Yeah, it looks like they were disbanded right after the period ended.
Yeah, so they've still registered a score in period 12, I guess that, but obviously not in any meaningful way. So have they actually disbanded now? Have they?
The crew is still on the stats page, but I think no one is really playing. Let me see. They're all offline, and Sin is dead.
Sin is dead.
Yeah.
Long live the Sin.
Yeah, what a hero he was. Great HDO. He did super good.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy.
Yeah, Sin, if you're listening, really, hats off, man. You did an amazing job.
He's in a better place now.
We are talking like to him like he's dead, aren't we? One of the funniest things I've ever seen. For some reason, it just tickled me. Maybe it's not going to be the same. You know, when you say something afterwards, maybe it's not as funny. But one of the funniest things I've ever seen Kyle say is when we told him that Sin was thinking of leaving. He said that obviously we have this concept of ban on site, and it's like BOS on site. And Kyle basically put something on Sin's account to say HDO on site, which that really tickled me. So it was like he obviously can't go underground or ever not play as an HDO again. But yeah, Sin, awesome guy. So that's probably one of the biggest shocks for me looking through the period 12 leaderboard. The crews at the top don't seem to be too surprising. We've got a new crew that, I say newish. They definitely weren't around towards the start of the round. We've got a crew that's stolen the old staff name, the Elite Guards. They're actually doing pretty well. So it seems like they've got themselves quite nicely organised. They got themselves into the top 5. That's good.
Still waiting on that new crew name.
What's that?
So we're still waiting on that new crew name.
Our one, yeah. Yeah, we need to find one, don't we? Let's be honest. Maybe we should just host like a competition to find it. Although I think someone did that in the forum. Obviously, we
should be the Colombo family, but with a U.
Yeah. Why can I never get that right? The Colombo family.
Because the British, you guys just put a U every time there's an O and just go for it. Color, neighbor.
Wait, who got it? No, yeah. To be honest, that's the annoying thing for Brits writing BB code, because color without the U just feels so strange every time I write it out.
Everything feels so strange without you.
Oh wait.
There is a slightly funny part of development with that because obviously I do live in England, I do have an American accent, and I do spell everything with I-Z-E instead of I-S-E. So I get this comment a lot during code reviews, and the tiny little thing that I can actually get over on everyone is that we still use C-O-L-O-R. So it's like, well, if we're using C-O-L-O-R, then I can use my I-Z-Es.
That's probably true. Yeah, so I mean, we've got some other, just going through some of the leaderboard. We've got TRF in 7th place, the company in 6th place, both previous winners, both absolutely capable of winning leaderboards. Do we have anybody from the company on the call? I think we do. Anybody from the company or TRF? I know we've got Vio. Feel free to pitch in, guys. Essentially, the question to you is, why aren't you number 1 in period 12?
I think Boggy is going to say something.
Boggy.
Hi.
Hey, Boggy. How's it going?
I'm going to promise to behave. Honestly, we just don't want to be number 1. Can't be bothered to put the effort in. I think we've shared our opinions plenty of times on how we feel about it. And until the day where we, possibly roll our socks up and show people that we can do it again, I think we'll be comfortable just playing as we are for the time being.
Okay. Obviously, we're going to come on to some calls about them later on in the podcast. We're going to talk about next steps for the game, so potentially that's going to give you some motivation for the future. I don't see anybody else from TRF, so I will go to Vio.
Hi.
Vio, why is TRF not number 1 in period 12?
Well, we've been top 5, I think, the last 4 periods.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we just wanted a pause.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, and let's see what happens next period.
Yeah, so we're definitely going to have to take that into consideration, and we have given Kyle that feedback, which is that I don't think a game should ever feel that way, should it, Riot, really? That, like, if you're capable of domination, you shouldn't feel like you need a rest. Does that feel right to you? I don't know, really.
I feel like we've always discussed that we kind of wish that the scoring was done more in the background, so it measured, kind of how you play the game and was just driven based off of, gameplay. Like if you didn't know there was a scoreboard, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, the just like grinding to get to the top, I imagine kind of takes, I guess for some people, it's a lot more fun. I think, some others really want to get just into the mafia aspect of the game and go around killing people and, have that reflect on the scoreboard. So, there's always discussions every time information is provided. We kind of, when we have our meetings with Kyle, bring it up. Oh, hey, they mentioned this, kind of as our players are like thinking. So I do fully believe that once kind of everything comes together, the finished project is going to be a lot of fun. And,
yeah, sure.
It's cool to see the steps here. I have a question for some of the crews going after the crew leaderboard. I'm kind of curious about now. So for some of the crews that constantly finish like in the top like few, like at what point in a round do you go, well, we're not going to go for that number 1 spot? Is it like if a crew gets out to a big lead for you? Is it something that you kind of do at the beginning of a round, or? Like,
that's a good question.
And some of the mind frame.
I actually do have somebody in mind that might be able to answer that question. I don't know if they've got a mic, but I read in the there's a guy called Chop who is in the session, and he's leader of a new crew called the Gambino family. I know that for those of you that have played for a long time, the Gambino family, this is obviously a new version of the Gambino family. I don't think they're affiliated with the old ones. But Chop is bought the Gambino family from scratch, and in period 12, they're now 10th in the leaderboard. So I guess that there is probably some expectations that because they're a newer crew, they probably have an appetite to get to the top. But I don't know if Chop's there, could maybe just give some thoughts about what. How's it going?
I'm here.
Hey, Chop.
Hey, yeah. It's hard work, isn't it? It is hard work, but it's quite rewarding. So we started in July with just a few guys. Built it up from over the last few weeks. We finished 19th, I think, last period. This one, yeah, we're 10th at the moment, but we have been working quite hard over the last few days. I think we can only stay 10th. I think the guys ahead of us are pretty far. But yeah, it's good fun. It's good to have the core people that help you out. I don't think that we're prepared enough for next period to get much higher. But we're working on it. And as I say, we're formed in July, so it's a work in progress.
Okay, That sounds cool. So I guess Riot's part of the. Obviously, you've got that realistic expectation there that I was just looking. So you're on 3.7 billion, and ninth place is the Dog Pound on 4.3 billion. Not that much longer to go. So, is the plan? Do you just at this point? Are you just trying to learn works best so that next period? I guess you're just targeting to get higher than 10th. Is that how you work on it?
Yeah. So any place higher in each period, I find that as a success for just a new crew. But there's been a lot of ins and outs. Members coming and going. Obviously, being a new crew, checking us out, staying if they want to stay. So it's we've got a nice, as I say, we've got a nice core of sort of 10 or 12 people who are active and earning some good revenue. So anything above 10th for next period, I'll find as a success. So yeah, definitely, we're aiming for at some point. Obviously, we want to be at the top. That's what we're aiming for.
Oh, cool! Thanks for sharing.
Riot question.
Yeah. Is that Boggy, right?
Yeah. Just to obviously give some insight. I think from a crew leader point of view, before the start of a round what crews are going to be hitting it. So I think what's lost a little bit in terms of that competition and appetite that you're talking about, where people want to take a rest, is if they know that a crew has spent the previous round stocking special items, police cars, whatever it may be. Like you're asking about TC and the royal family, they will stock something for a round or two and then just attack a round. And I think that's where you lose the competition. So I don't think you'll see people that will turn around and go, I don't know, Beyond Bars are 3 billion ahead, or TCF in the past who did some impressive stuff with their rounds. Do you know what I mean? It's not that mid-round where you go, right, let's give up now. Before the start of the round, the people that are going to go, people have those conversations and say, right, this round we're going for it. So that already sort of waters down the competition between 1, 2, 3, and then 3 to 7, and then 7 to 10. Chop's done an amazing job there with Gambino family getting in top 10.
Yeah.
Well done for that. But I think that's where the competition's lost, is that it's too easy for people to take 2 rounds off, stack up a load of stuff, commit their intentions, and then bam, they go for it. And that's why I think you've got the gaps.
With that being said, do you think, and this is just completely based off of what you're saying right there, do you think it would be a good idea to have all items that are found during a period expire at the end of that period? Or at least some of them.
That's a flip of a coin, because, if someone gets fireworks or candy 2 hours before the end of a round and their crew is 400 million or whatever it might be behind the next one, they're not going to be in a rush to use it, are they? And that's why the items themselves have expiry dates. Looking at the expiry dates, I think, you look at the coffee thing, is it, with the bagel or whatever it might be? Maybe that's just me being British, I don't know what it is. But they seem to expire the same sort of time as loot boxes, whereas your first class train tickets, they can last almost a month. So I don't know whether that needs to be looked at. I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't like to go on a whim and do that, but I just think that's where you lose your competition.
We do actually have that in a section to come on to, don't we? Basically Kyle's update section, which we're going to do last today, just that's the way it happened. But we do actually have a section about items to talk about. So maybe we'll come and ask you some questions, follow-up questions about that, Boggy. It's a good shout, though. But yeah, thanks for everyone who contributed to that section there. So Chop from the Gambino family, in summary, looks like you've done a good job getting into top 10. TRF having a bit of a more laid back period just because they've been grinding, similar to TC, I guess. And congratulations to Beyond Bars, who again seem to be slamming it. The last time they won was in period 9. So well done to the crews that are at the top of the board there. The next section that we're going to come on and talk about today, just got a little bullet point here, which is essentially we've got a couple of other changes. We already mentioned Sin leaving the help desk, RIP Sin. And we've brought on Vio. I usually use everybody's game names except Alex but I do call Vio Vio, but I think a lot of people also call her Thea. Is that how you say your name? Sorry, Vio?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah. Awesome. So I believe we've got Dave and Thea who are going to come and talk to us about the recent changes to the help desk team and how the first few weeks have gone in your position. Thea.
Brilliant. Thanks
Yeah.
ever so much. It's the first for me on the Bootcast, so thanks ever so much for having us. And I guess a massive congratulations to you, Vio. How are you finding it so far? I mean, when that boot mail had come through from Flames, what was your sort of first reaction, really?
Well, he was kind of sneaky about it because he was
Clever.
asking me another question, and I was like, yeah, sure, whatever you need, like, I'll help out. And then he told me my yellow coat was waiting for me. I had to read it twice before I understood what he meant. But yeah, it's been really fun. It's a good way to get to interact with players you don't normally talk to, and I think for me it's it's been a good lesson in looking at all the features that you don't normally use. Like, I guess every player has their own play style and some like features that they use more than others. For me, for instance, I'm sorry, Mel, never played Kino before. So then suddenly you get a question about Kino and you realize that you actually need to look up how it works and figure it out.
You are not the only one. I guess that's where we Rolls said a very similar thing earlier, which is that when there are features now that exist after the time that we were like working as staff. So if you've never experienced it much as a player, whether that be just because you don't use that feature or because it's new, then you don't immediately know everything about it, do you? So I guess it's more about it's like anything new, whether it be like a professional thing or a hobby thing. When you first start it, there can be some stuff to learn, but it's more about the approach, isn't it? The fact that you're obviously the right person to do this sort of thing. If you get a question and your immediate intention is to go and use everything at your disposal to get an answer.
Just to very quickly touch on that, it's actually kind of weird as a developer, kind of having exactly the opposite of that now. Because I would agree, I had the same thing happen to me for ages. I was just like, oh, they're talking about these little intricate details about things. It's I don't understand because I didn't have enough time as a player to kind of experience those. And now that I'm a developer and seeing all these extra things, and it's like, all these interesting little game mechanics that I never knew of before. So it is interesting from this side too.
Yeah.
Not knowing Kino makes me want to cry.
Sorry.
Back to you, Mr. Dave. I think you probably have some questions, right?
That's a really good sort of insight into how she's feeling. So that's really sort of positive so far. I mean, just sort of going back to the questions I was going to ask. As you've been in it a couple of weeks, and I understand it's still quite fresh and new, but was it at all what you expected it to be from a player's point of view?
I've been pestering you a bit because, like, after Flames told me that there was a yellow coat somewhere, I started thinking, like, okay, what do the HDOs actually do? And I feel like I'm sort of like a receptionist. Like, I answer some simple questions and I redirect other ones. And I guess it's what I expected, but it's definitely more pleasant. And I think the community is showing itself from a really nice side, and people are super polite and thankful for anything you do for them, really. And yeah, it's really fun, and yeah.
No, that's really positive. It's good to hear. The other thing I was going to bring up was that I can see you've had a bit of a role change by the looks of it. Are you going to be sort of heading up a bit more of the Bootcast moving forward?
I don't know. It was kind of random, really. Flames asked me if I wanted to come on, and I said yes. And I asked him who else is going on, and it seemed like he hadn't really made the full plan for it yet. And then I talked to Alex.
Stitching me up now via me, unorganized.
We're gonna be a great team. And yeah, like I am with a lot of things, when I see something that needs to be done, I try to help out. And Apparently, that resulted in me getting a very ugly color in Discord. I want to be yellow, Alex.
Oh yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, obviously, we wish you all the best of luck. We are very happy to have you on board. Appreciate, obviously, Sin leaving was, of course, quite a big shock to us. And, he does have pretty big shoes to fill with everything he's done. I'm confident that you're going to do a really good job with us. So thanks ever so much for agreeing to come aboard.
Thank you so much for considering me. I am a huge fan of Sin, and I talk to him from time to time. And I think the first thing I said was also that Sin has huge shoes to fill, but I have small feet, so I'll just have to try to be a different type of HDO, I guess, and contribute with other things, because I don't think anyone can beat Sin at what he's great at.
I love that line that you just said. It sounds like something that you would see on Satan's dating profile. I'm a big fan of Sin, and
sounds kind of dirty when you say it like that.
You said that, not us. Yeah, awesome. Mr. Dave, with your little section here, do you have any other questions that you want to ask Vio?
All I was going to really ask is just to sort of throw it out the audience, really. Has anyone got any questions for Vio in a new position? Just sort of shout out.
It's that awkward 10 seconds, folks.
I just wanted to say good luck. Smash it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Boggy. Wonderful. Yeah. Well, Mr. Roll and Mr. Riot, do you have any feedback, questions, anything on topic for Vio?
What's your spirit animal?
Oh my God! Don't. Someone's head is exploding.
I feel like all the other applicants have had to answer this question, so I feel like.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like dogs.
Good answer. That's a good answer.
Rolls like she's fired.
Man's best friend. Oh yeah,
he's a pet person. That says more.
Yeah, Roll. That says more about you than it does about anybody else. Dogs are clearly better.
Are you a one cat person, or are you 27 cats in your apartment person?
I think you know the answer to that. Yeah, this Roll is definitely a 27 cat guy. And I don't even know if he can reply. Is he still muted? Because I think he's having some background audio.
He's wandered away to do some other things.
Okay, awesome. Okay, well, that sounds worse now because he can't even defend himself. So we could just bully him slightly more by, yeah, he's definitely a cat guy, isn't he? Okay, that probably comes to the end of that section, which means we're on to our final section of the day, I believe. So this section is, again, completely unscripted. But I guess it was just for Riot and I to. It's not so much announcements. It's maybe just that we've had a catch up with Kyle recently. Obviously, there's been a lot of moving parts. We've brought Alex on board. We've had a bit of a change of the way that we're approaching development with things like bugs and sort of player feedback and the like that we mentioned earlier. So I guess after our catch up with Kyle, we wanted to. He's basically given us. We basically asked for some stuff that we could, if there was anything that he wanted to get out there for initial discussions only, and obviously he's going to be doing some more formal announcements soon. But Kyle's basically supplied us with it's actually a 6-page document, Riot. Did you see this?
Yeah, there's quite a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah.
Some of it's pretty interesting too.
Is very interesting. It's way too much to talk about all of it in one show.
And it's also just 6 pages is an outline, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's just so much going on there. Mostly about, things to come in the future, and just kind of as companies always do every year, hey, here's the direction that we're heading, and I think it's going to take Bootleggers to some cool places.
Yeah, I believe so as well. I mean, probably the best approach to this is maybe we just go through maybe we just go through a few of these things and just try and maybe catch Kyle's tone about what the next step should really be, and then maybe we'll get some more. Maybe we'll go into some of the items in more detail over the coming shows. Maybe that's a good way to do it. Is there any particular on there that Riot that caught your eye?
Well, I do want to first state that people are going to hear this and go, "Wait, is this like the next thing that's coming out?" Not necessarily. He is still looking at like some stuff with like the crews and the structures and stuff like that. So that is still coming, but we will talk about some of these future changes. I just don't want people to think, we always get whenever we announce like something, they're like, "No, what about this?"
Oh yeah,
so it's not like that. This is just kind of a future of where the game is headed.
Yeah, so some of the next steps, right? And this is obviously in addition to the things that we've already committed to doing, like the family update, as an example. So on top of those things, we've got this list that we're going to go into more detail about, and Karl will do some more formal announcements as they come up. But was there anything on the list that took your eye, right?
I really like the I don't think it really has much to do with the mechanics of the game, but it looks like everything's really, he wants to shift towards your player having the true like mafia experience.
Yeah, sure.
Some of the stuff on here, a residence, so you kind of get your own pad to live at, where you can, I think there'll be some like customization. Your garage, you can store items, store there, and basically you'll also be able to run attacks on other people's residences from some of the stuff that we're seeing.
Yeah, residents. Yes. So the tone of what Karl's saying is basically this whole the whole idea of bootleggers is it needs to like sit with like mafia culture and lifestyle a little bit more. If you've ever watched like a gangster movie of the period, so much of it is about the business side, but the game doesn't really have anything about that, the lifestyle side, which is quite an interesting thought to look at. So the way that one of the items that he's put in is this concept of residence and traveling, which is essentially, it's like your character, your actual character that you're role playing actually lives in one of the cities. And I guess this is probably looping back around to the concept of what was originally establishments, but not that feature design, but just the idea that you've got something that you can build up. So your actual character and the actual like the attributes of your character, the attributes of, I mean, we're calling it a residence, but really, it's like the place where you live might give your certain skills to your account, for an example. But it sounds pretty cool, right?
Yeah, I think it sounds cool too.
I think when I was reading too, and like some of it, there's not like full details here, just some kind of notes that there'll be different resident types available, I guess, obviously some more luxurious ones. And when they get like purchased or unlocked, whoever decides to do it, could have, like, if you're at your residence, your mana could recharge faster and stuff like that. So it'll be really something cool. It'll be nice when he, kind of makes the formal announcement, or to, get some feedback from some of the players in the forums and stuff like that, and kind of see where they would like it to go. I think you'll be able to do some customization of your avatar. It kind of looks like too, like stuff that you can unlock, just like different outfits and stuff, which again has nothing to do with the actual gameplay itself. But I do think that when it comes out will be something kind of cool, and maybe you can even show your like mafia avatar person on the on your profile too, and we all won't just have like the same looking person.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I kind of like picked up on as more of a general theme in the document, and it would be interesting to see how you guys feel about this too, is that quite a few of those features were definitely focused on yourself as a solo player doing things for yourself as yourself. But there were quite a few that were also more so inclusive of playing with other people too. So there's a lot there that's like more so just for you as a solo player, but there are some other things that are going to be able to incorporate playing with other people more and actually having more of a cooperative experience as well, which I thought was pretty interesting because there's not too much that you can kind of do with others other than maybe, organized crimes and shooting each other.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, one of the particular, because obviously at this step it's like conceptual, but one of the cool things that I read on there was around the ability to, your residence where you live, you pick a home city and you're able to build up that sort of place that you live with, you invest in it and then you get better perks back from it. I think that's a concept that's in a lot of games, and it's a good fundamental to be able to have like investment in your own character. But I was reading some cool thing about a lot of changes to items where potentially you would store your items. It's not just like they're just things on the homepage. You would actually store your items and cars in the garage in your residence, and your items get stored at your residence. And maybe you just choose to have certain things equipped when you go away from your home. And then what would potential gameplay would be that if you were whacked and you have those items on you, the ones that you've chosen to go out with because you want those perks, if you were whacked when you're away from home, it would mean that the killer would be able to have like presented a list of your essential loot that was dropped at the point that you were whacked, and the shooter would be able to pick which one of those things they wanted to have. It all sounds pretty cool. So you're right, there is like both of those things enable you to invest in your own character more, but also to be able to have a richer experience with interacting with others, even if that means when it was shooting them. But obviously there are other. Yeah, sorry, Ryan.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, just kind of going back to the notes here, Kyle does mention that anything like customizing the character, like their outfit and stuff, is a much more long-term goal, whereas something like, being able to whack somebody and maybe get some of their loot items, would be, something that would be more doable in short term.
Yeah, and I guess that for people listening to this, I guess this is where you have to like draw a distinction now in overall our approach to the development items, because some of you will be hearing this thinking, goodness, there are features that aren't working as planned. Why are you thinking about adding new stuff in like this pie in the sky stuff? And I think that's the point with having Alex around, is that when you have a bigger development team, you're able to like really have key focus areas. So while all this cool stuff is going on that's more strategic for Kyle, we've obviously going to be having Alex and I working on that list that is sort of community led from the existing features. So as I mentioned earlier, we've already got hundreds of tickets relating to your suggestions, feedback, and the bugs that we know that you're experiencing. So being able to increase the size of the development team allows us to it allows us to obviously do things quicker, but it allows us to have our focus in two areas, which is future development, but also I guess like upgrades and fixes. So this section is to talk about some of the things that Kyle has mentioned as sort of like future strategies, but actually just to let you know, obviously we're not losing sight of what else is important.
And also, real quick, because I feel like there's so much stuff here that is worth mentioning in the things, and like the cars overhaul that's kind of been talked about for quite some time. It looks like it's going to be starting to take fruition and look a lot similar to kind of how we imagined, where there will be, basically good cars and then trash cars that you can use to sell for cash or melt down for bullets. And so basically what you'll want in your garage is some of your like nicer, like rare cars that you can get. I think it'll be kind of like a display. Kyle says, it's more about like, given like the players' own like personality of what cars they keep, because you'll be able to reuse some of these for like OCs and stuff, and they'll take damage, and you can reuse them. There's even something about some co-op crimes where you can have a friend ride along with you in your car, varying on how many seats you have, to do some crimes with you. So that seems pretty cool. But I think one of the coolest things is that while most nice cars will be stored in the garage to prevent from getting like stolen and stuff like that, all of the other cars out there, kind of the less desirable ones, will basically be left on the street. So when somebody goes around to steal a car from the street, it's going to come from another player. So they won't specifically be targeting a crew. You're just going to say, hey, I'm going to go steal a car from this street, and it's going to randomly, there'll be a small chance that it can also develop a new car in the system, but there's also a good chance that you'll be stealing somebody else's car, and you'll just get a notification, hey, you had a car stolen from you off the street. So, I think it'll put more emphasis on, something more realistic, like moving the cars around, doing what you want to do with them before somebody else steals them, or, the cops find them, as opposed to just hoarding thousands of cars.
Yeah, so I think on this point, it's probably nice that we stick with this overall view, just discussion with it today. And then it looks like there's 6 sections, around roughly, is it 5 or 6 sections? And I'm thinking that now we're going to get the BuzzCast back into regular. Maybe we take in detail maybe 2 sections per week. So over the next 2 or 3 episodes, basically, we're going to cover everything off that Karl's put as next steps. But I think that...
I was just going to say, we also just got this this list from Kyle at like, I don't know, 4:30 in the morning my time, which was like 1:30 in the morning Kyle's time. No idea. And so we're already kind of discussing them. I think it'd be really nice to, get some more clarification on some of the stuff, ask some questions. I'm sure people, some players out there will hear some of this stuff and they'll have their own questions, and we can get some of those details ironed out by Kyle. And in some future episodes, definitely dive into them a lot deeper.
Yeah, so I think that maybe we'll just end this section for now, just by reading out Kyle's sort of like introduction to this document. So it's like 3 paragraphs long, but I think it might be quite interesting just to hear where his head's at. Obviously, remember, this is on top of the other things that are on the strategic list that are already committed to, like the family update.
Do we have time for one more bomb to drop?
I think if we do this little if we finish up this with these few sentences, and then we probably have one more bomb to drop, maybe. Yeah. So he basically says this, that I'm looking to develop out the whole spectrum of the mafia gangster lifestyle. This includes the work and the business side, which is crimes, bootlegging, and whacking, as well as the pleasure and entertainment side, which is gambling, drugs, drinking, etc. Cars and auto burglaries is the next area to be overhauled for the work side. This will change the way people travel, opening up new opportunities to interact with other players and set up for the eventual bootlegging overhaul. Plus, all of the outstanding bugs with cars would be cleared up during this update. He then goes on to say, I'm also wanting to introduce residences to create more opportunities for lifestyle spending. Right now, there isn't much entertainment spending, is pretty much limited to gambling. And as you rank up, you just make more money. There should be greater opportunity for lifestyle spending through residence, jewelry, etc. So as you rank up, there's essentially ways that you can rank up your player. With certain properties limited and offering special perks, there's opportunities for players to be highlighted and gaining attention, ongoing costs for residences, and occupying certain items gives places for income to be spent. And then finally, he says, residences also begin to allow for cities to become territories. Control of the city mayor could come by the amount of criminal energy used in a city, along with the residences in that city as a multiplier. So if you live in that city, the energy you're using is more impactful. Controlling the mayor would then give additional benefits used to decrease police attention on other players or crews, greater bootlegging distribution, and better or cheaper searching, etc., etc. So I think that that all sounds pretty cool. And I think that the list of sort of topics that he goes through is, number one is traveling, and then number two is cars. So I think on next episode next week, we'll go into those in detail, and there's roughly a page for each of those. So traveling and cars updates. Then we've got number three is the residence, and this is all about your sort of leisure spending and the way that you would build up your own sort of private businesses. Number four is private investigators. So he has essentially a strategic vision to change the way that PIs work. Number five is bodyguards. So I think if we take those over the next 2 weeks, we'll probably get those covered. So maybe we'll do 1 and 2 next week, and then 3, 4, 5 the week after Riot. So those are that's probably a plan for us, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Great.
It does sound great. I know that we didn't go into much detail today, guys, on the bits from Kyle, but like we literally got the document a few hours ago, so there wasn't really much opportunity for us to take it all in just yet. But I promise we'll come to it next episode, which is next week. You mentioned there was a bomb to drop, or potential bomb to drop. What have you got going on?
I want to say, and I first off want to cut any suspense. There is no scheduled reset. However, every time somebody asks, they say, Riot, when is there going to be a reset? When are we going to reset this game? Inflation's out of control. When are we going to reset this game? Start all over with the new features, new scoreboards. And I say, hey, we have heard nothing about a reset from Kyle. You know, there's a lot of stuff that he wants to get done. We definitely want to, he always wants to get the next feature in real quick. And we want to get some of this balancing done because, if the game reset right now, how long would it take to get to this state with the inflation? So I've been working with Cybae on some stuff that we can better, monitor the economy and make some tweaks. So there was never, ever, ever, a whiff of even anything close to a reset.
The party line was basically, we have no date because we have such a big, long list of stuff that needs doing beforehand. But now it's different.
We can officially say it's on the radar. Kyle has read the forums. He has, read everything where, people are like, hey, really want to see this, just like reset it, let's start it over. So while there is no set deadline, there's no set date for it, I do think that Kyle is now in the process of kind of preparing the game for a reset that is in the not so distant future.
He actually said in the near future.
Yes, it's not so distant is also the near future.
Yeah. Yeah. Being picky there, aren't we? So you probably heard it here first. Our tone has now changed. So if you ever asked us for this date, there is no planned reset from today onwards. The line is there is a reset planned in the near future. We are not able to give, not even Kyle's being able to give you more detail than that. But as it comes up, we'll let you know. But
real quick before we wrap it up, another big thing to note when he was kind of talking about that, Kyle's always wanted to find a way to kind of extend the rounds instead of having short rounds with constant resets. He was kind of looking more sustainable, and his original hope was to get all of these changes and then make the reset. And he's now kind of said that he's looking at potentially just having a reset in the future, and then having smaller rounds and just resetting when needed as new features get developed. So it'll be definitely something cool to see.
Yeah, so I think the conversation that we obviously had with him yesterday was that he can now see that there's a lot of appetite for a reset. He's obviously seen that there's been a number of topics about it, and that's definitely influenced his decision. I think that he recognises that although that there are developments that he would like to do before, the last reset needed would be needed, he recognises that we still haven't done enough development to be able to make it fun in the end game. This really loops back around to what Boggy was saying earlier. It's quite samey. Kyle will be the first one to tell you here that the game is not good enough end game to be able to keep you guys interested. There's just simply not enough structure and strategy to be able to make it feel varied enough. So you do end up getting sort of, it may be a bit tedious. And I think he's recognised that, and therefore that's why he is planning to set us up for a reset in the near future, in his words.
Flames, can I ask you a question on that? Just from the player base. I think it's good that obviously those people that have gone to the forums have got sort of an answer today, but I think you've talked about communication during the BuzzCast as well. I was about to say podcast there for some reason, but BuzzCast in it. You've talked about communication, and I just think from what's been seen on the forums, I can only speak for sort of the TC chat, but the big thing that was asked in there was regarding special items. So if a round does reset and someone's collected a load of special items, are the staff and Kyle going to communicate to give people enough notice that special items will be lost so they can use them, and it's not just going to be, right, we're resetting it in a week's time and people are just sort of left there and everyone's doing 600 million odd OCs or whatever it may be? Is that still going to be communicated properly?
I think I guess also it depends on what we all have a different definition of what a good amount, what I think a good amount of time might be different from yours. So I'd love to hear your perspective. But I think at least I would like to see notice at the start of a round going, hey, this will be the last round. Afterwards, we'll have a small chaos period, and then the game will reset. So
I think for me, that would. If you just think about it now and picture the fact that we're saying there's no appetite for competition, I think if we were to be told prior to a period starting that this is the last period, this is just my opinion, obviously, this is the last period before it's reset, anything that you accumulate will be lost. Can you imagine how exciting that'd be? I think everyone would go for it.
It would be chaos before the chaos round.
Half-timers the entire period.
Yeah.
We should half-timers
If you're going to do it, just go it. Do you know what I mean? But I think giving people that sort of... Because one thing that I miss more than anything is the tactical side of stuff. So for me, to be able to know that round everyone's going to go for it, I just think it'd be as interesting as anything. So for that was going to be my feedback in terms of, if you are going to reset it, tell them prior to the start of the period, and then let everyone just have at it and go for it.
I'm sure you will get at least a period's notice. Yeah, at least.
And we'll talk to them about it. I think that'd be fun too. And whenever we pitch a fun idea like that to Kyle, he's generally on board. Like when we hear, some feedback like that. So
I guess there's two elements to that, and I think that I think transparency is key here, which is that we need to get to a position where it translates in Kyle's head from in the near future to X amount of weeks away. And once we get to that point, I think that's when we do initial communications. And then when we announce that, it's basically listening to feedback at that point. So if you have particular concerns around items or whatever, because I think there's two bits to that, isn't there? It's timeline, I need to know when it's going to happen so I can prepare, and two, it's I've got these other concerns regarding my account. So when we get to the point where it transfers from it's this point in the near future to it's this exact date, around this date, that's when we'll probably start collecting. We'll ask if anyone's got any questions or whatever when we on it. We'll ask Kyle, but I guess we're going to try and do it as quickly and keep everyone as happy as possible. But it's pretty cool to at least know that we are going to have a reset, which is pretty big news. Fun.
Yeah.
Fun. So I guess everyone for more details on that topic immediately. We don't have any. This was literally brand new news to us as well. So we're pretty excited about that as well, actually, because a new round is always fun, especially to see a new round with the features that we've actually added. I mean, sometimes I know that people, you see people saying, functionality hasn't been released quick enough or whatever. But when you take a step back and you actually look at everything that's been added this round, it's quite a lot. So it'd be cool to have a reset and see what see how a round plays with the new stuff in it from the start.
Yeah, we should also check in with Kyle and see if we got anything coming up for Halloween next month. It'll be our first thing back in event season.
Oh yeah, event season, yeah.
I think people are also trying to get something for National Beer Day.
National Beer Day. I swear that happens 3 times a year. Is it like different?
It's every Friday.
I keep thinking Disney's just like bumping like a different topic or bumping the same topic, but it's always like a different.
Once a
they're
month.
like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's National Gin and Juice Day.
I know who. We should go back to Kennedy because I think it sounds like it was National Beer Day at his place today.
Yeah.
That just about wraps it up for us, I think. We obviously had some technical issues earlier on the section regarding the TI-TSR news. So maybe we'll try and revisit that, or maybe some other action will happen. We are going to try and get the BuzzCast back to more regularly. I think previously we're doing it once every 2 weeks, so let's try and aim for that again. We'll giving you way more detail on Kyle's strategic next steps next time, and also I think what we'll try and do in the next episode as well is we'll start to have a regular section, so maybe probably around 15 minutes per episode, and that's just with Alex. What have you been doing this week, and what tickets are you looking to do for next time? So that sounds pretty cool. Any other closing comments, Riot?
Nope. Just glad we had to film this again. Went a little longer than usual, but we had a lot of stuff to cover, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you for everyone for listening to the Bootleggers BuzzCast episode 10. See you all soon.